I now call the January 13th, 2026 meeting of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education to order. There being no opposition to any items on the agenda is adopted by unanimous consent. And tonight, I'm happy to introduce Inchara Gopinath as our 2026 student advisor. So this is her first full meeting, so we get a clap for that. Inchara is a junior from North Mecklenburg High School. She was voted in by CMS students out of a very capable and diverse pool of 10 other finalists. Inchara has many interests and passions. She is the vice president of the North Mecklenburg High School's speech and debate team and is a 3-time nationals qualifier. She has a strong community spirit. For example, she has organized fundraisers to support leukemia and lymphoma research. She is an athlete, as she is a golfer who has qualified for regionals and won independent tournaments. She is interested in psychology and wants to pursue a career in medicine. Last but not least, she has a fierce desire to ensure that the student voice is a part of the board decision making. I am confident that the totality of her experiences and interests will guide her in representing all of CMS students. Welcome to your new role on the board.
Thank you.
We're so glad that you are here to serve. Will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to kick off 2026?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I turn over to Inchara for some remarks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here today, and I want to thank you all for welcoming the perspective of a student into this important work. As someone who moves through classrooms, cafeterias, and hallways every day, I notice the energy, the ideas, and the challenges that shape our school community. I see students asking questions, supporting each other, and working hard to grow, not just academically, but as people. Leadership isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about noticing these moments, listening to voices that might not always be heard, and helping a community reach its full potential. True leadership creates an environment where people feel seen, heard, and empowered to contribute. It's about setting standards, fostering trust, and inspiring others to act with purpose. It's about decisions and actions that lift everyone forward and building a culture where collaboration, accountability, and vision are central to everything the group does. I, Inchara Gopinath, am honored to serve as your student advisor, and I take seriously the responsibility of representing every single student in this district, making sure you all feel safe, seen, and supported. Thank you.
Thank you. I turn to Dr. Hill for recognition of our SOFG students.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are extremely excited to recognize our first and second grade students who are here today who have demonstrated extraordinary growth in their DIBELS early literacy assessment. So students, when I call your name, I'd like for you to stand and make sure you stand up for a little while so our photographer can get your picture. At the end, I'm going to ask all of our parents who are here to stand alongside of your students, as well as teachers and principals and any staff members that may be here as well. We'll give you all one big round of applause. All right, let's get started. Preston Rollinger, Selwyn Elementary School. And I apologize, I was not a good teacher. I forgot to say, please hold your applause until I call all of the names. All right, Fatima Castillo Lopez from Mary Oaks International Academy. Luna Bullard, Lake Wiley Elementary School. Maynir Wilson, Lebanon Road Elementary. Yeshua Corvina, Montclair Elementary. Fatima Rosili, Mallard Creek Elementary. Aylin Alfaro, Mary Oaks International Academy. Jace Pickens, River Oaks Academy. Chase Farman, Highland Mill Montessori. Dilaram Opravora, Selwyn Elementary. Noah Black, University Park Creative Arts Elementary. Austin Ortiz, Albemarle Road Elementary. Michaela Green, Palisades Park Elementary. Damian Sinchuk, Valentine Elementary. Sophia Armania, Hawk Ridge Elementary. Kiera Henson, Devonshire Elementary. Brenda DeBrol, Marie G. Davis. Lexi Taylor, Billingsville Elementary. Marcos Romero, Montclair Elementary. Maynor Castillo, Oakhurst STEAM Academy. And Isaac Karajan, Still Creek Elementary. Will all of our students please stand to be recognized, along with family members and staff members and school administrators. Congratulations. We are very proud of your hard work. We know that many of you are tired. Some of you are yawning when you're up here. It is getting really close to your bedtime, so go home, read a good book, and we'll see you bright and early in the morning. Thank you.
Okay. Let me just make sure the press isn't here.
They called it dibbles? Just kidding.
Board members, you've been provided the consent agenda items in advance. Is there a motion to approve them as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Shipp, I think second by Monterey Duval. All those in favor by show of hands. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. I will turn to Dr. Hill for personnel appointments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, we have 3 principal appointments. First, we have Mr. Dennis Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs will be our new principal at Independence High School. He is currently serving as the Executive Director in High School Performance Area B. He also served as interim principal of Garinger High School and has held multiple leadership roles as well. Congratulations to Mr. Hobbs. Next, we have Lenoa Bost. Lenoa Bost is our new principal at Eastway Middle School. Ms. Bost has 28 years in education. She's currently serving as the assistant principal at James Martin Middle School and has also served as the assistant principal at Governor's Village K-8 Academy. Congratulations, Ms. Bost. And last but not least, congratulations to Kelly Gleason. Glisson. Kelly Glisson is our new principal at Mary Oaks International Academy. She is currently serving as principal at New Hope Elementary School in Gaston County, but she is returning home as she was the assistant principal at J.V. Washam Elementary. And important to note, Ms. Glisson was the assistant principal of the year when she was here with us. Congratulations, Ms. Glisson.
All right, thank you. For public engagement this evening, The rules are only speakers who have timely signed up for public comment are eligible to speak. Speakers are not permitted to read statements or speak on behalf of someone else. Responses to questions or engagement between speakers and the board or individual members do not take place during this comment period. Each speaker will be called to speak one at a time. Each speaker will have a maximum of 2 minutes to address the board. Each speaker may speak on any topic of their choice except individual student or personnel matters, since these matters are confidential and not appropriate for public comment. For these matters, the board encourages you to contact the appropriate department, staff member, or our board office. Speakers are encouraged to share comments or criticisms, but should avoid personal attacks, accusations, threats, and insults. Speakers should also refrain from revealing student names or sharing personal addresses, emails, or any other identifying information. Profanity or other inappropriate language will not be allowed. The board reserves the right to cut off any speaker who violates these rules. As I call your name, please come to either podium and speak in the order that you are called. The first two names this evening are Lane Gibbs and Kennedy Godwin. Lane or Kennedy. All right. Next two names are Jordan Littlejohn and Roxana DeShong Myrie.
This one.
You go ahead.
All right, Ms. Littlejohn, you may
Oh.
proceed.
Okay. Good evening, board members. When people ask how the Women's Empowerment Club began, they usually expect a complicated story. But the truth is simple. It started at home with a friendship, with me and my best friend Kennedy sitting together and imagining what it would be like if young women in our school had a space where they felt supported, inspired, and seen. We didn't begin as a formal organization or a big initiative. We began as two friends who wanted to do something meaningful and fun together. Something that reflected who we were and what we believed in. Something that made school feel a little bit more like home for the people who needed it. And that's exactly what cultural clubs do. They create belonging and they create identity. And they also create community. Too often are academics clubs seen as the serious ones, the ones that matter most. But cultural clubs shape students' lives in ways that grades and test scores never could. They give students a place to breathe and express themselves and to find people who understand them. They build confidence, leadership, and pride, and they change the way students show up in school. Women's Empowerment Club is a proof of that. We wanted to come to you guys today and bring the issue of cultural clubs having stoles. A lot of people at my school, we have clubs like BSU, Women's Empowerment. We wanted to get recognition for graduation with stoles. We've been building these clubs all of our high school careers. Me personally, I'm the first fully graduating class of Palisades High School, whoop whoop, because we've only been open for 4 years. And we just wanted to represent the clubs that we've built up from scratch using stoles and things of that nature. So I stand before you guys asking that you guys be able to allow non-academic clubs to wear stoles at graduation once they have been approved, their design and things of that nature. I thank you guys for your time tonight.
Okay, Ms. Murray.
Good evening, Board. My name is Roxana DeShong Myrie, and I'm here to talk about the funding promise made to the children of North Carolina and Leandro's Law. It appears that the legislators in Raleigh have forgotten Leandro's ruling in 1997 and 2004. It basically says that all children should have access to the opportunity for a sound, basic education. I think the defining point which I would like to make is what type of society do we want to live in? That focuses only on the wealthiest among us. And how do we, as a society, encompass the needs of everyone despite their economic status? Whether our youth decide the direction of vocational or academic. The purpose at the end of the day is to develop skills for success. Data from 2023, a report found that North Carolina fell 36% below the national average when it comes to funding effort. It also fell 2 spots into 50th place out of 51 for the school funding level. This ranking includes Washington, D.C. The report notes that of the 19 states that earned the D or F on the funding level, 13 states earned the D or F, and North Carolina earned the C. Taking this information into consideration, it implies that the state school funding has not been proportional with the increases in GDP. Lastly, the state is allocating funding to districts of the most need. North Carolina ranked 17. Thank you.
The next 2 names are Bill Fountain and Courtney Savoy.
Hello, fellow citizens. I'm Bill Fountain. Our culture, i.e. the shared values that we have in language and traditions, is the glue that binds our nation together. Family unity, work ethic, and Christian values gave us a large middle class. Yet, for many years, our culture and middle class has been under attack. Per the former American communists, Bella Dodd, Whittaker Chambers, and others, in the 1920s, Marxist communism infiltrated teachers' unions and the Democratic Party using the Marxist focus of victim-oppressor to negate the Christian focus of living in Jesus' example. Then in the 1960s, Democrats ushered in the welfare state and cultural revolution. That further eroded morality, patriotism, and family unity. And plus, there was a greater dependence on the government, which also led to greater disparity between the rich and poor. Today, Democrats are using the same victim-oppressor focus with DEI to really continue eroding our culture. Now, it's ironic that the Democrats who say that they're helping the black and brown children succeed are the same people managing the schools where many of our students are not proficient in reading, and many graduates are not prepared for success. Now, are the Democrats just creating a larger dependent class at the expense of improving our culture? Thank you for your time.
Right, last call for Courtney Savoy, Talia Duniak, Steve Tutero.
Good evening. My name is Talia Duniak. In November, federal immigration enforcement began an operation in our city, and CMS responded with nothing. No alternative learning options for students, no acknowledgement to parents, no guidance to teachers. There was no board-issued communication to students or families at any point. Responsibility was pushed down to individual schools, leaving teachers to manage the consequences alone. That is not leadership, that is institutional neglect. Once the amendment passed, the district simply moved on. Students paid the price for the district's inaction. In many cases, absences from that week were still counted. Our hardest working students have lost exam exemptions and academic eligibility for days missed during a period of fear and instability. Testing windows were barely extended, and educators questioned the credibility of the data from the rescheduled benchmark testing. Minneapolis public schools closed and shifted to remote learning following federal enforcement activity and safety concerns. They acted because they understood what CMS failed to. School cannot operate as normal when families are destabilized. This is not just about November. Massive federal immigration operations will return to Charlotte. CMS must develop a clear, written, district-wide plan that now addresses communication commitments, attendance and academic protections, instructional continuity, and student safety. That plan must be shared publicly and applied consistently across schools. I want to acknowledge for public record, in preparing to speak tonight, I reached out about a week ago to 2 board representatives, as well as local teachers and educators. I want to thank at-large Representative Elizabeth Monterey Duval for her timely response and helpful insight. In contrast, for public record, the District 4 Representative Stephanie Sneed did not respond. Her district is largely made up of Latino and immigrant families. The silence and inaction of elected officials is unacceptable. Thank you.
Mr. Tudor.
I'd like to say good evening to the members of the board and thank you for your tireless efforts on behalf of CMS students and your commitment to building a better city. It's a pleasure and privilege of my career to address this group. I've come here to say what you already know. The time is now. The time is now to take bold and decisive action. The time is now to replicate positive, vibrant, dynamic, and high-performing learning environments within and throughout CMS. The time is now to accelerate outcomes that change lives. For a moment, I ask you to picture CMS better and brighter than it is already. When you walk into classrooms, what will you see? What will you hear? What will you feel? And most importantly, what will district results look like? I speak before you today with gratitude and with humility. I'm a representative of the vendor community and an employee of Savas Learning Company. And most importantly, I want you to know that while they are few and far between, there are vendors that care more about academic results than they do about profiting off of your people. That is one thing that distinguishes Savas. We are educators. At our company, we don't sell books, we produce growth, we heal cities, and we change lives. We do this with student-centered curriculum, which enables students to see and hear each other each and every day. So my ask is simple: make an investment in the future of CMS, make a commitment to more rigorous, comprehensive, and easier to use curricular solutions, and make an investment and see results. With all of my heart, thank you for your time, consideration, care, and commitment for the future of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Thank you.
The last person for this evening is Keisha Covington.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I'm coming here from 3 perspectives. One, as a parent of 2 autistic children in the CMS school district, one who is in the K-2 program. Also, as an educator, I used to teach for 15 years. 9 of those years was for a CMS school. And also, before I moved to North Carolina, I actually was a SAM, a single approach to mastery teacher in my other state. So I do have a little bit of EC background. As a parent recently, I was told that it's against CMS policy, and that's why I'm here tonight, that CMS does not allow ABA services to be provided inside of the school. As a parent who has children who are, their behavior, their communication is affects their academics, it doesn't make sense to me that a therapy services that can actually help them in real time is not permitted in the school when the school district would not even have to pay for it. This is something the school district would not have to pay for, the insurance pays for it, and you allow speech therapists from other companies to come in, you allow OTs, you allow PTs to come in, and this, as an educator, I have been in the position as a general ed teacher where this is not against EC teachers. They are overwhelmed. And there could be 8 to 10 kids in a classroom that need EC support. If you were allowed ABA therapeutic services to come into the schools, you would have that one-on-one where that child can get help in real time. That is the best practice. If a child has problems with interacting appropriately with peers, teachers, and adults, why would you have that child go to a clinic and get those services, meaning that they have to actually miss a half day of school? And that's what's happening.
That concludes the public engagement for this evening. I turn to Dr. Hill for the voluntary separations and promotions through January 13th, 2026 report.
As presented.
I turn to Dr. Hill for the Student Outcomes Focused Governance Goal 1, Interim Measure 1.2 and 1.3 report.
Thank you, and again, good evening. Tonight's SOFG report highlights Goal 1, Interim Measures 1.2 and 1.3, with the focus on our elementary first and second grade literacy. Our team conducted a site visit to Starmount Academy of Excellence to explore the instructional strategies driving their academic success. This video showcases how Starmount intentionally works with school staff and community partners to support student learning both in and out of school. Let's take a look at excellence in action.
I think one of the things that stands out is in each of our classes, we're aligned. What we planned in planning is what's taking place in the classroom. And although the classes are not the same, you are seeing the same types of skills and strategies used. And that's been a big change that's helped us shift in the last couple of years.
Sometimes we have to do progress monitoring, and I have to do iReady reading, so I do that, and I'm like really good at it, so I get better and better every time I do it.
So depending on which day you see, you would see different aspects of it, but mainly you're going to see a continuation of their growth. We are looking at color-coded systems where our trajectory is going to be green or it's going to be blue, and we typically look at nonsense word fluency right now, and towards the end of the year, we're going to look more at like oral reading fluency.
Nonsense words is a word that's not real, a word that people do not use.
I would attribute a lot of our data and growth also to our amazing community partners. Behind me right now is one that's happening where we work with a local church, and they do put on a book-a-palooza. It happens 3 times a year, and each child will come tomorrow and choose 3 books that they'll be able to take home and read over break. So we're really excited to have the community helping us with this literacy project. I think for our community and our families, it's been a really game changer for us to get our whole community to surround students, to talk to them about literacy, to talk to them about their foundational skills, to practice with them. Being in a school that has a lot of multi-language learners as well, we have parents coming forward to say, teach me also, so I can help and teach them. So just everyone kind of coming together to speak to students about this early literacy has been really, really important for our community.
I think students, they need to kind of hear voices from their own. It's good for me to model, but when they see and they hear their peers, they kind of come out of their shell. And they say, I can do this too. If my friend can do it, so can I.
All right, thank you so much for your attention during that video, and thank you, Starmount, for demonstrating excellence without exception. This monitoring report is focused on Goal 1, Interim Measures 1.2 and 1.3, first and second grades. We continue our 25-26 reporting with the second of 5 updates on Goal 1, Early Literacy. The 5-year goal is to increase the percent of K-2 students scoring at or above benchmark in early literacy, as measured by DIBELS, from 67% in June 2023 to 91% by June 2029. Tonight's report focuses on our beginning of the year data, and this tells us exactly where our students started at the year in early literacy. We will start by looking at overall goal performance. When we compare the beginning of year performance of students in grades K-2 over the last 4 years, it's important to note that 54% of K-2 students at or above benchmark is the highest beginning of year percentage of students at this level. During the 24-25 school year, our K-2 students increased 20% between the beginning of year assessment and the end of year assessment. If we performed at the same rate this school year at a beginning of year percentage of 54%, we would project that 74% of our K-2 students would be at or above benchmark at the end of this school year. So that means we need to accelerate our rate of improvement by 5% to achieve this year's goal target. Here you see the total number of students that we have in K-2 who took the assessment at the beginning of the year. You also see that we need 23,087 total students to reach our goal. Currently, based on beginning of year data, we had 15,680 students who are at or above benchmark, which means that we need a total of 7,407 additional K-2 students to reach our target. We've added this in our report. This is new information for this report, and it explains the rate of improvement from beginning of year to middle of the year for the current year, and the rate of improvement we expect based on our new progress monitoring process that we've implemented this school year. Proficiency growth from beginning of the year to middle of the year last year was 6%. It increased from 52 to 58% from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year. If we have the same rate of growth of 6% this school year, we would improve from 54 to 60% by the middle of the year. However, using our new cycles for progress monitoring and our monitoring dashboard, we currently project to have a 13% increase between the beginning of the year to the middle of the year this year, putting us at 67% by the middle of the year. That is a 7% accelerated rate from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year improvement from last year. So now let's take a look at our interim measure 1.2, which is for first grade students. Here you'll see the annual target of performance for this year is 80%. Our beginning of the year percentage of students at or above grade level benchmark was 57%. This is the highest beginning of year percentage that we've had for our first grade students. At the end of last school year, 72% of our first grade students were at or above benchmark. This year, the target is 80%. We're starting the year at 57%, which means that we need to increase by 23%. Based on last year's rate of improvement, we need to accelerate by 7% to achieve this year's target. Again, here's a breakdown of students that we need for first grade. And here's the new report that we are showcasing. 57%, first grade proficiency growth from beginning of the year to middle of the year last year was 3%. It increased from 56 to 59. If we have the same rate of growth at 3% this school year, we would improve from 57% to 60. However, our new cycles for progress monitoring are projecting us to have a 10% increase, putting us at 67% by the middle of the year. This is a 7% accelerated rate of improvement. For first grade, there are two skills that are absolutely essential for success. You see them highlighted here on your screen. They are nonsense word fluency, correct letter sounds, and oral reading fluency. Finally, let's take a look at our second grade students. Here you will see the annual target for the performance of our second grade students for the school year is 72%. Our beginning of the year percentage was 59%. We need to increase by 15% by the end of the school year to meet our target. Again, this is the highest percentage that our students began the beginning of the year at 59% for our second grade students. At the end of last school year, 69% of our students were at or above benchmark. This year, the target is 74%. We need to increase by 15%. Again, here's a look at the raw numbers. And here you will see that 59% of our students were at or above grade level. We increased by 3%. If we had that same rate of growth this current year, we would improve from 59% to 62%. Currently, we're projected to have a 5% increase based on our progress monitoring, which would put us at 64%. And this is a 2% accelerated rate from beginning of the year to last year. For second grade, the key subtests that are important are nonsense word fluency, oral reading fluency, and word reading fluency. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Chair Sneed to facilitate questions.
At this time, board members will entertain backwards questions. I see board member Shipp.
As we look on page 12, and I'm looking at first grade, we're looking at getting to 80%. Do we think that is possible as we look at, we have 2,239 first graders needed to reach this goal? What do we know about these students? Where are the possible gaps in terms of getting them there? I have a second piece of that, but let me just stop with that part.
So you're specifically talking about our first grade students?
First grade.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for our first grade students, we see that, number one, it is absolutely possible simply because on slide 14, as I talked about, we have our new cycle for progress monitoring. And so our schools are intently focused on taking a look at not only the lowest enabling skills, but the skills that are absolutely necessary for students to be on at or above benchmark at middle of the year. And so because of the progress monitoring that we're doing, our schools, our teachers, master teachers, administrators, and also at the district level, we know exactly where every single student is and how they're progressing based on their progress monitoring data.
Right. And that would have been my second part. How strong is the progress monitoring? How much support do we have at each school to ensure that's happening, especially with the dashboard piece you have now?
Yes, so the dashboard is brand new, as mentioned. We have done extensive training with our school leaders, of course, school principals, as well as our specialists, master teachers, and MCLs, our multi-classroom teachers, leaders. In addition to that, what I think is most important is not only of doing the progress monitoring. So in November, we held a specific professional development for those team members to make sure that they know not only how to progress monitor, how to read the dashboard, but what to actually do with the data to provide that prescriptive instruction.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Board member, Dr. Witherspoon.
Well, my question was about the progress monitoring dashboard. Let me pivot just.
I can go a little bit deeper. I can talk about it all night.
Yeah.
So if you have another question, I'll be happy to answer it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you kind of got at it about the evidence that around how it's changing instruction, decisions within the classroom. So I was just kind of interested to know a little bit more about that, what evidence and how it's working. And
Yes, so the first thing that I'd like to do is give a shout out to the team because they're the ones that actually developed the dashboard based on what we learned last year, feedback that we heard from teachers. So a couple of things I think it's important to know. Progress monitoring is not new. It's actually a requirement. It's in law by the state of North Carolina, specifically for students that are not at grade level. So we've always done it, but this is different because we, again, are looking very closely at every single student. Not only are we progress monitoring for the students that require it, but also for the students that are at or above benchmark, because obviously we want to raise the bar. So we're doing this for all of our students, whether they're on grade level or not on grade level. And then in terms of the dashboard, it is very clear on what specific subtest students need to be progress monitored at. So they're doing, like I mentioned, that lowest enabling skill, but also the skill that's needed that we know they have to master for middle of the year. So we're being really intentional and targeted in that. And then in addition to that, regardless of where students are, we're being very intentional to make sure that during regular instruction, students are receiving at least on grade level instruction based on those very specific skills.
All right, board member Monterey Duval.
Thank you. Dr. Hill, so what I'm seeing here is that first and second grade, when we look at beginning of year, this Dibbles was taken in September, they are exceeding growth or they're on an upward trajectory. based on previous years. Is there any correlation between, or causation actually, between CMS summer camp and this increase? Since it happened in September, maybe they went to CMS summer camp. I wonder if there's any connection there. Yeah, I wonder if there's any connection there.
Yes, so we have not done extensive studies, but as you will notice, for each grade level, for K2 overall, and for first and second grade, as I mentioned, for each of those groups, the students started the year higher than they did the previous year. And so there's lots of reasons for that, but certainly the Camp CMS that we did last year was extremely intentional because we were not remediating during Camp CMS. We were actually focusing on front-loading what students would experience when they came to school in the fall. So we took students that needed remediation, but instead of going back, we actually front-loaded. So that way, they would have exposure to all of that content before they got here. So haven't done a study, but there is lots of research out there that talks about summer slide, and we certainly know that Camp CMS is a tool that we have in our tool belt to combat that.
Totally, thank you.
Board Member Hatch.
Thank you, Dr. Hill, for your overview and also the responses to our submitted questions. But of all the strategies that are also listed in the report, progress monitoring, coaching, family engagement, dashboards, which two do you believe are doing the most heavy lifting towards that accelerated growth? And do we believe that the schools that need the most lift have those resources allocated equitably?
Yes. So the strategies that I know are having the biggest impact in terms of our theory of change, if those are the bricks that we're talking about specifically, that are having the biggest impact would be the work that's happening with the people that are implementing the work. So that would be our specialists, our master teachers and MCLs, and our classroom teachers. All of the things go together, but making sure that those folks understand the strategy and to be able to implement it. Again, I would say that the progress monitoring is having the biggest impact because we are being very strategic and prescriptive in knowing exactly what students need to do to move. As I stated earlier, we were progress monitoring before, we were collecting the data, teachers were doing great work with that data, but now we have not only strategy, but we have processes and procedures and timelines that we're timely reviewing that data so teachers know exactly what to do so there's not a waste in time. We're accelerating that growth and improvement. And in terms of schools having the resources that they need, absolutely. We are taking a look at every single student. One of the things that I like to say is behind every number is a name of a student. There's a face. Those are real human children that are behind these numbers. And that's something that our teams are taking very seriously. They know, if I ask my assistant superintendents that are up here, they know the names of the students, where they are, and what they need to do to accelerate. The assistant superintendents, as well as learning and teaching, are using some specialists and directing them in spaces where there is a need for acceleration. And so absolutely, principals are redirecting their staff as well as our assistant superintendents leveraging the resources that they have to make sure that they meet their goals.
Thank you. And then what are we intentionally not doing this year so that schools can execute these priorities in depth?
Intentionally not doing?
Are there any trade-offs that are being made?
That's a great question. I cannot think of anything that no, I cannot think of anything right off the top of my head. I guess what I would say to that is the things that we are intentionally not doing are things that are not necessarily aligned to strategy. So we've definitely trimmed off things like if it's not a practice that's working, we're not going to continue doing it. I would say that There are lots of things that may have been happening, but we've certainly tightened up and been a lot more clear on expectations and clear on strategy, so teachers have both the time and the resources to do what they need to do. The number one thing that we hear from our teachers is they do not have enough time to review the data, to put the things in place, and they do not have enough time in the day to do the things that they need to do. So time is always a crunch. So I would say that we've been much more intentional in terms of how we're scheduling our PLCs. I was with principals last week, and they were talking about how they're being intentional about protecting teacher time so they have time to review this data and know what to do in order to plan for success.
Thank you.
I have a question that's similar to Board Member Hatch, a question about the strategies, the top strategies. Well, mine is centered around on slide 23. You specifically talk about, as a part of the theories of change bricks, is high quality specialists, master teacher leaders, high quality teachers. My question is, what strategies in terms of that, of the teachers, that you attribute to implementing the projections that have been listed for the increased growth compared to last year?
Say that one more time. So what's teacher table during small group instruction, but when the students are in skills block working independently, making sure that that work is aligned and differentiated based on what those students need to be able to get to the next level. So when our master teachers, MCL specialists are going to the classroom, yes, they're looking at what the teacher is doing and the work that the students are doing with the teacher, but they're also looking at what students are doing in skills block and what does that align to their data that they have in their hand on what those specific students should be working on.
Backwards or forwards? Backwards?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Dr. Witherspoon?
Yeah, just a quick question about, I want to be certain to frame this as not like a teach to the test question, but I'm interested in, like, how does the predictive value nature of those subtests fit into like the strategies? How, because they're weighed differently, as I understand, what strategies for instruction are there to get kids kind of where they need to be as students, if you understand? Am I clear?
Yes, I think so. And if my answer doesn't answer what I'm saying, just make sure you let me know and I'll reframe it. The team is putting up some slides here, but in terms of the subtests that are there, so when students take the assessment, they're very clear on what skills the students need to be working on. And those skills are then addressed during the skills block. But then in addition to that, students are always receiving a constant diet of on grade level instruction. So they're providing both things at the same time. So based on where the students are, we know developmentally, based on the science of reading, how students are going to develop, and those skills that they're learning are actually building blocks, is what I'm trying to say. And so one of the things that we don't really talk about here at the dais is their micro phases. So as students are moving through their micro phases, there are specific, not necessarily instructional strategies, but specific content that matches their micro phase. So it's very much a science of reading, and then the art, of course, would be the instructional strategies that are provided to make sure that students are moving the way that they should. Not sure if that answered that question. If not, ask it again and I'll try again.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
All right, I think that is, so forward-looking questions. Board Member London.
So thank you for the responses to the technical and tactical questions. I would love to know, so as part of the strategic adjustments for the family engagement piece, so understanding how critical family engagement is to progress and achievement, as well as the activities that students do outside of the school day. Can you elaborate more on what the parent and family engagement looks like for in Parent Square and in the different Family Academy in the different platforms?
Yes, so the team is taking us to the slide where you will see what parents receive. The first thing that I want to point out that parents receive is they receive the report at the end of every benchmark. So beginning of the year, middle of the year, we're actually required by Read to Achieve law to provide that report. So then based on that report, parents have access to what students should be working on based on exactly where they are. In addition to that, in November, we sent home information to parents so they would know exactly what they would need to work on at home. And so here you will see there's a QR code, there's a bit.ly, and then we've taken screenshots so you can see exactly what they needed to work on. And so there's decodable readers that are available, some speed drills for phonics, and then also their fluency readers. So all of those pieces, again, are connected to what they should be able to do by the mid-year benchmark. And so we sent that information out through Parent Square and through lots of different modalities. In terms of, we have on-demand options on our website, so parents can go, they can watch videos and tutorials that are voiceovers that walks them through what the actual report is, and then how that correlates to the activities that they can do at home. And then in addition to that, we have some schools that are leveraging our parent and family engagement department to actually go out and support them at their schools or in the community. And then just last week, when I heard principals giving their mid-year data report out, several of them shared that they were having parent nights where parents were coming and they were doing student-led conferences. So on the video, you saw some of the students speaking to progress monitoring and what a nonsense word is. And so we definitely believe that when you give students the opportunity to have voice and advocacy about and ownership about what they're doing and they can speak to what they're doing, it just better supports them. So just the connection between we can't do all this work alone. We definitely have to have a strong partnership with parents. This is just one of the strategies that we're using at the district level to get to that. Thank you.
Question, Rankin.
My question looking forward is also about family engagement, is one of our bricks. Can you talk through strategically looking forward, how this brick is being monitored at the district level to ensure that this strategy is working and the strategic adjustments? Because you named all the things that parents should know, what they should see. How is this being monitored at the district level to ensure that this strategic adjustment is working?
Yes. So as part of our annual plan, we have our strategies that are listed. So we do monitoring here, obviously, which is the highest level of monitoring that we do. But every other week, we have an OBEA session, and OBEA basically means truth-telling session. And so we have it every other week where the folks that are in charge of the project actually give a tape report, which is target, actual, please explain. And so they talk about what their target was, they talk about what their actual was, and then they explain why their data is where it is. And then the people that are in the OBEA session have an opportunity to ask strategic level questions, just like we do here, to support them in removing barriers. In addition to that, all of that data is monitored in our Hive system. So at any time, our leaders can go in and take a look. I go in and take a look to see how is our data being monitored. In addition to that, we have a management routine for all of our chiefs that based on, now some of the projects are focused on SOFG, and then obviously we have the other body of work to run the entire district. But the chiefs send me a written report every week, and I have an opportunity to see what's above the line and below the line in terms of, are they on target to meet their goals, their WIGs, their wildly important goals for the year, if they're on track or not. And there's an opportunity to talk about what barriers need to be moved in order to meet targets, in order to meet the annual goal.
Follow up. So they're being monitored at the district level, and we know that research shows that family engagement is important for students to be successful, right? But when we're talking about progress monitoring, we're talking about our strategies, and we're looking forward. Can you talk through how family engagement what are the predictive measures that are showing that it's affecting the outcome? Does that make sense? What are the what's predicting that? What do we have to show this brick is moving us towards our target of what, 75? Is that 75 or higher?
Yes, so based where we are in implementation for this specific strategy, we are looking at implementation metrics for the strategy, not necessarily predictive metrics, because this is just year 2 of our five-year goals. So this strategy was built out last year, trying lots of different things. This year we've tightened it up, but to your point, there's a large body of research, very large, that shows that when parents and families are engaged in their children's life, attendance goes up, self-efficacy goes up, academic outcomes go up, and then the research further shows that when parents are involved with things specifically that they're learning in school, that outcomes increase. So we're certainly leaning on that body of research to support us in the implementation of the strategy. But in terms of having a predictive measure for what we are doing right now, we simply don't have that yet because we're collecting implementation metrics.
Thank you.
All right, board membership.
In that same line, although I'm looking at the BOY subtest data, and only, well, I say only, but 53% of the first grade students are able to accurately and automatically identify letter names. Looking at that, and I'm looking at parent involvement, where are we at in terms of trying to move that? Because when you think about their first graders, and they're at 53% with that particular skill, and we saw the data with kindergarten too, what are we doing here to really work on this, which is critical to getting to oral reading fluency? All of it comes together.
Yes, so for every subtest that individual students are not at, that is then paired with not only what they're doing in the classroom, but it's also paired with what they need to be working at home.
Good.
So if letter naming fluency is what they're working on at school, then their report would say, this is what you need to work on, and that report would say letter naming fluency is what you need to work on, so these are the things that you need to do to support letter naming fluency.
Thank you.
I think that concludes our questions this evening. Thank you, Dr. Hill, for your engagement, and board members as well. I turn to you for your superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Happy New Year, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome our new student advisor, Inchira Gopinath. We're very excited to have you join us this year, and we look forward to your contributions and your perspectives as a Charlotte-Mecklenburg School student. I also want to say a very special thank you to our Board of Education as we celebrate School Board Appreciation Month. The students and staff of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools are very blessed to have phenomenal Board of Education members. Each member is dedicated to supporting our schools, students, educators, and staff. Our board members are active, involved, and engaged citizens, and we are truly grateful for your service. Tonight, my report will highlight examples of excellence in our 4 pillars. We are approaching the end of second quarter on January 21st. Students in schools following the traditional calendar will begin taking their semester exams soon. They're actually taking them right now. Parents, please make sure that you review your child's exam schedule and reach out to your school with any questions. As we close out the second quarter, I want to remind you that printed report cards are only provided for students in grades K through 2. Families of students in grades 3 through 12 will continue to have full access to report card information through the district's online parent portal, Infinite Campus. Second quarter report cards will be available on February 3rd. Last week, we notified families about their placements for the school choice lottery. We also launched Parchment, which is a new secure web-based platform that modernizes how families submit and transfer, reassignment, and lottery requests. If you need additional information or have any questions, please visit the district's website at www.cmsk12.org. You can also click on the OnFlow or Let's Talk button, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools Arts Education opened its 4th annual winter exhibition on January 8th in the lobby of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools Education Center. We featured more than 100 juried works from K-12 students. The opening event also included a special ceremony honoring the winner of the Superintendent Award, which highlighted excellence in drawing, painting, sculpture, digital media, and more. Congratulations to our student award winners. It will remain on display through the end of January. I am thrilled to announce again that Tuckasegee Elementary School Principal Latricia Wilson has been named the 2026 Southwest Regional Principal of the Year. She is one of 9 regional winners who will go for the Wells Fargo, North Carolina Principal of the Year title. Congratulations are also in order for Dallas Brannon, who's a senior at Independence High School, who was announced as the recipient of the Jimmy Lee Kirkpatrick Award earlier this month during the 24th annual Duke Mayo Bowl at the Bank of America Stadium. The award, presented by the Charlotte Sports Foundation, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, and Dr. Pepper, is named after Jimmy Lee Kirkpatrick of Myers Park High School and celebrates a senior football player from CMS who excels both on the field and in the community. The award includes a $10,000 scholarship and a trophy. Congratulations. There are exciting progress taking place at our new elementary school on the Park Road site, which is part of the 23 bond. That school is set to open this fall. And for engagement, we are inviting our students and families to repack for success on January 15th from 5 to 7 at Winterfield Elementary School as we reset and recharge for a strong second semester. This event will feature an interactive workshop, free backpacks and essential school items, as well as information on how to engage with community organizations. You can learn more about the resources available. This event is part of the CMS Family Academy On the Go programming. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Board members, I turn to you for your board reports. Board members and student advisor. Board membership.
Oh. I first want to say Happy New Year to our staff, our teachers, our administrators, and all our support staff. Thank you for all you do. We appreciate you. I know this begins the end of second quarter as we're coming back in the beginning of second semester. This is the push time, right? We know. And our seniors, I know you're looking forward to what's coming and preparing yourselves for that. And good luck to you as you do that. It's a sprint now, maybe to the finish line. Teachers, students, you got this. Then I want to shout out, going into another phase, to the State Employees Credit Union for their long-standing partnership with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. I have had the opportunity to serve on the advisory board for 10 years, and I will be moving off after 10 years of serving. But the State Employees Credit Union, especially in the Southwest Branch, it has been an honor to recognize students yearly who receive $10,000 scholarships from State Employees Credit Union from People Helping People Foundation. I'm grateful to have been a part of this. I will continue. Of course, I am a State Employees Credit Union member, and Teachers, please know all the opportunities that State Employees Credit Union provides. State Employees Credit Union also works to volunteer for financial literacy stimulation activities at high schools. They volunteer to help with end-of-grade assessments, being proctors. They do a lot here. And every area of the city should have a State Employees Credit Union support team that helps with schools throughout this district. So again, shout out to State Employees Credit Union and all that they do. And I've enjoyed my time with them. Thank you.
Advisor Gopinath.
Before I begin, I'd like to say Happy New Year to everyone. I am once again very thrilled to be a part of the CMS board and cannot wait to see what we do with this year. Now, every day in our schools, I can't help but notice the dedication and energy that teachers bring to their work. One thing I'd like to highlight is the importance of recognizing the incredible efforts of our educators. With this being my first official board report, I simply want to say thank you to each of you out there who pushed me to be where I am today, and how grateful I am as a student to call you my purpose. On the student side, I also want to draw attention to school lunches and nutrition. Many students care deeply about the food options we have, and more importantly, the accessibility, how they impact energy, focus, and overall well-being. Exploring ways to make meals more nutritious, appealing, and inclusive could have a meaningful effect on students' daily experience and learning. Both of these areas, teacher recognition and student nutrition, reflect a larger principle of leadership, listening, observing, and acting to support the whole school community. I look forward to continuing to bring student perspectives to the board and working together to make our schools even stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Monterey Duval.
Thank you, Chair Sneed. The last 8 weeks have been rough, not going to lie. So first and foremost, I want to thank the unsung heroes of our community, the principals, which are our change agents, the social workers, the psychiatrists, the therapists, the community advocates, everyone that has done everything in their power to make our families feel welcomed, safe, and taken care of at CMS, because that's who we are and that's what we do. And I've never been prouder to be part of this district. The silver lining of the 8 weeks is that we were able to meet with the Board of County Commissioners, and I will tell you, it is so great. I'm so grateful to have a Board of County Commissioners that is pro-education, because right now we're facing headwinds and uncertainty with the federal government and how these funds are going to be allocated, and to have a Board of County Commission that is willing to continue to contribute and do the right thing is something that we have on our side. And, you know, as a constituent and a taxpayer, I'm just a little bit frustrated because the state needs to be making up this gap, and they're not. And I'm paying my income tax, I'm paying my property tax. Like, I'm not an expert in this, but I feel like I'm getting double taxed. And I just don't think it's fair. So I'm just grateful for the county. And one of the things that I didn't realize is that they are carrying the burden of some of these SNAP benefits as well, because they can't just cut these funds to the community. So these are funds that are getting diverted from the priorities that we need in our community. And so I think a lot of people don't notice that or realize that, but you know, it really stuck out to me. So last but not least, I want to welcome my new colleagues on the board members Hatch, Haynes, Stone, and London. I'm super excited to work together, and as well, bringing back our chair and vice chair and the impacts that we're going to have on student outcomes. That concludes my board reports.
Thank you. Board Member Hatch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. January marks the Founders Day of many Divine Nine organizations, especially my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the first Black Greek letter organization founded on scholarship and service. That legacy continues to shape how I think about responsibility to my community. I am honored to serve alongside Chair Sneed, a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority who is celebrating Founders Day today, Vice Chair Rankin, a member of Phi Beta Sigma, and Member at Large, Dr. Witherspoon, a member of Omega Psi Phi.
That's right.
This month, I visited the Ada Jenkins Center, one of many community partners helping with two of the board's goals focused on literacy, specifically for Davidson Elementary, Cornelius Elementary, Huntersville Elementary, and J.V. Washam Elementary. The visit reinforced that schools do not exist in isolation. When we partner with trusted community anchors, we strengthen family engagement and student success in ways policy alone cannot accomplish. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the recent issues with the school choice lottery. I know this process is deeply personal for families, and when something doesn't go as expected, it creates stress and uncertainty. School choice is especially important to me, not only as a board member and a parent, but a scholar. My PhD research is focused on how families navigate school choice, the barriers they encounter, and how trust and access shape decision-making. Because of that lens, I am always mindful that school choice is not just a process. It is an experience, and experiences shape trust. As we continue this work, I want to be clear about what courage looks like in governance. Courage is transparency, being honest about what is working and what is not and why. Courage is accountability, setting clear expectations and following through even when it's uncomfortable. Courage is communication, bringing families along, not after decisions are made, but as they are being shaped. Because children cannot wait for adults to get comfortable. They need us to get courageous. Courageous enough to ask hard questions, own mistakes, improve systems, and not defend them. Courage enough to earn trust and not assume it. That is the standard I hold myself to as a board member, and it is the work I'm committed to advancing alongside my colleagues for the families and students of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Thank you.
Board Member London.
Thank you. So good evening and Happy New Year. I'm so excited to have our new student advisor with us, and welcome. I'm excited to work with you. Since our last formal board meeting here at the dais, I have had the opportunity to participate in the superintendent's Parent Advisory Council meeting that was held right before the holidays. And it was really incredible to see parents, the parents that have been appointed from their school principal or from the school leaders, the principals, to represent their schools on engaging with the superintendent. I was able to participate in workshops such as safety, career pathway planning, and school choice, as well as the Board of County Commission meeting. And I agree, I'm grateful that we have a pro-public education county commission here in Mecklenburg County. And I also visited a local nonprofit called Pineville Neighbors Place that is focused on supporting the Pineville area, but Pineville Elementary as well as Sterling Elementary in literacy and providing food and access to a food pantry to the students in that area. I also want to give a shout out to East Meck, who had a visit from Governor Stein today, who was able to sit with educators and talk about the cell phone policy, CTE programs, and making sure that students really are prepared for the future. Lastly, I want to acknowledge what many are currently feeling regarding last week's school choice lottery process. I do want to acknowledge that confusion creates anxiety, silence creates frustration. Thank you to those who reached out. Families do deserve transparency that builds trust. They deserve systems that work consistently, not just in moments of calm, but especially in moments of challenge. I want you to know I'm committed to pushing for strong communication, accountability, and systems that serve people the way that they were built, serve the people they were built for. I will continue escalating concerns and continue asking questions. Please keep showing up, email me, reach out so that I can support you.
Board Member Haynes.
Thank you. I want the people to know that I'm having a great time serving in this role. The biggest question that I get asked is, how's everything going? What's, do you think you're picking everything up okay? I just want everybody to know that I have big, bold plans, and what that requires is for me to be a very quick study. I hope I've been doing that so far. I want to give a shout out to the West Boulevard Neighborhood Association and also 2541 for holding the West Boulevard People's Assembly. What made that so special was, I got to walk in as an elected official, speaking with my neighbors who are all very happy for me in this role. But the big thing was I got a chance to hear from community members, not just about education, but also housing concerns and displacement, and all the things that tie into education and children's and family success. I want to say that I'm thankful for the parents who have emailed me so far and the community who's very concerned. My colleagues lifted up the lottery process, and what I want to say about that is, as a board member, I'm new to this role, but I'm not new to advocacy. And I'm not new to asking strong questions, and I'm not new to building frameworks for solutions versus just complaining. The parents that have reached out to us, what I want you to know directly from me is that even as a new board member, there are things that I'm asking, questions that are being raised. And for anyone in this room who believes that it's small to admit failure or small to admit when problems take place, that it's not small to admit failure, and it's not small to admit when something goes wrong. We're in a situation where we could lay blame or we could become healthy partners in this, to recognize that there's always a silver lining if we just work together. So my commitment to parents, which is a little bit redundant from what I just said, is that we're going to partner to solve it all. Thank you.
Board Member Stone.
Good evening. Glad to be here. Glad to see you all here. Happy New Year. There's a lot that has been said, so I don't need to be redundant, but the magnet situation and parent communications, et cetera, I think supporting my colleague, Board Member Hatch, about there's no shame in making a mistake and seeking a fix for it. I would like to shout out Starmount on their success. I will also credit the church that was represented there was Parkway Baptist Church, my church. I usually do that program, but I was tied up that day, couldn't do it. I would also like to thank my board colleagues. They've been very gracious in helping me through the biggest learning curve I've had since college. Also, my constituents in District 5, you guys are great. Keep the letters coming. I will try to keep up with the emails. I'm getting better at Outlook. And I also want to recognize that the challenges faced by so many students and families due to the recent ICE experience, the light of the silver lining maybe was to see how the community responded to what the needs as they appeared in real time. And my hope is that we'll be better prepared when they come back. Also seeking support for them and continued support. This is something we all need to be concerned about. Like I said, lots of people have said it much more eloquently than I did, and I'm finishing under time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Rankin.
Just briefly, I just want to say to all of our students that are about to embark on your test for all this, everyone is taking semester long tests. I want to say good luck on your end of year exam, and those taking your midterms, good luck on those as well. To our educators, thank you for all your hard work. We're halfway there, so you did a great job so far. And also, want to say to my fellow board members for School Board Appreciation Month, you truly are appreciated. This is a great team to work with. I truly do appreciate each and every one of you. It is also National Mentoring Month, so to all our mentors and partners that support our schools, thank you for all that you do, and especially to our teachers and our coaches and everyone in schools. You're also mentors as well. I would also like to say, lastly, happy Founders Day to the members of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated, and to my favorite Delta, who's this is her first Founders Day, my daughter Nia, who's a graduate of Hopewell. Congratulations to you on your first Founders Day. Daddy loves you. All right. Thank you.
All right. So, of course, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and honor Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated as we recognize our Founders Day. Delta was founded in January 13th, 1913 by 22 black women at the Howard University in Washington, D.C., who understood very clearly that education is not neutral, it is power, and with that power comes responsibilities. Those founders were scholars, but they were also organizers and advocates. They believed education should not only open doors for individuals, but transform conditions for entire communities. That belief still matters. especially in public education. Black women have always been the anchors in our school systems. We're often the ones standing in the gap, teaching, leading, advocating, and pushing institutions to live up to their promise, even when those systems themselves make their work harder than it should be. Delta women have carried the tradition forward as educators, policymakers, board members, and community leaders, bringing a leadership style rooted in preparation, service, and accountability, all while looking good in red. As a board member at a time when public education is under real pressure, it is important to name and honor that legacy, because we have a legacy of standing on leadership, grounding, scholarship, service, social action, and it's not just symbolic, we stand on business. So today, we honor our founders, the legacy, and the ongoing work of Black women who continue to lead with purpose and conviction, and always with students at the center. So with that, this evening, I think that concludes our board comments. The final actions for this evening are, we have 3 action items, which is modifications to policy B-BPP and exhibit B-BPP/E, board policy process. Vice Chair Rankin, as chair of the policy committee, will make this motion as is reported out of the committee. It does not require a second.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications to policy B-BPP and exhibit B-BPPE, board policy process. These proposed revisions establish a clear process for considering proposed policy changes. The modifications include clarifying the definitions of bylaw, policy, exhibit, and regulation, revising the procedure for initiating a proposed policy change, including the process by which a proposed policy change is drafted, how the proposed policy change is added to the policy committee agenda, and clarifying the expectation of the policy administrator. Requiring the superintendent to submit a regulation change order form for all regulation modifications. The policy committee met and considered these modifications at our November 10th, 2025 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
Oh, thank you.
Board members, is there any discussion? Are we ready for the question? All those in favor to modify policy B-BPP and exhibit B-PPP/E, board policy process, by show of hands. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk, motion carries. Next motion on the agenda for this evening is modification to policy B-POL, political activity. Vice Chair, as the chair of the policy committee, shall make this motion. As is reported out of the committee, it does not require a second.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications to policy B-POL, political activity. The modifications include the state superintendent of public instruction may visit schools during school hours. The superintendent or their designee may approve requests of elected officials to visit schools during school hours. No candidate or elected official may be granted permission to visit a school during the calendar year of their election, except for members of the Board of Education or the state superintendent. Requests for visits outside of school hours must be made in accordance with Board Policy O-CUF, Community Use of Schools and its accompanying regulation. Candidates, elected officials, or their surrogates may not distribute any materials on CMS property at any CMS-sponsored event except for what is allowed by North Carolina electioneering laws. The Policy Committee met and considered these modifications at our November 10th, 2025 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you.
Any comments by any other board members? We're ready for the question. All those in favor to modify policy B-POL, political activity, by show of hands. It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, motion carries. The last action item for this evening is modifications to exhibit S-COMM/E, community participation, vetting, and approval. Vice Chair, as chair of the policy committee, shall make this motion. As is reported out of committee, it does not require a second.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the proposed modifications to exhibit S-COMME, community participation, vetting/approval. The modifications include updating the approval process for community events to make the superintendent or their designee the person who vets the event and provides notice of their decision. clarifying that notice of the decision regarding an event will be provided in writing to the requester, adding language stating the board policy S-SCOM provides the process by which any appeals will be addressed. The policy committee met and considered these modifications at our November 10th, 2025 meeting and voted to recommend approval by the full board.
Mr. Rankin, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you.
Any other comments, board members? Being none, all those in favor to modify policy S-COMM/E, community participation vetting approval, by show of hands. It's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Motion carries, and there being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.